So let's continue our conversation about in-ear monitors. Now, some people refer to them as IEMs. Some people just call them ears, but really we're just talking about a glorified version of headphones. We want to create a way for the band to hear themselves, and the great thing about having it in your ears as opposed to a speaker on stage is that you can get click tracks and other things that you wouldn't want the audience to hear. You can get them in their ears. So that could be from simple just earbuds, it could be from molded in-ears that have multiple drivers and have this tight seal. There's a lot of versions of in-ear monitors, but we're basically just going to talk about the basics of, okay, if you're moving to ears or if you use in-ears, there's some basic things that we all need to think about.
One thing about ears, I've got my set here. So I think something we should note is that when you start moving to using ear molds, custom ear monitors like these, it creates an isolated signal in your ear, like when you put on headphones.
Yeah.
Like you put on even headphones like on a plane, so you can't hear babies crying or something like that. You put ears in and it puts that information right there in your ear canal, right next to your eardrum. So not only is that cool, there is a little bit of a safety factor we have to keep in mind.
For sure.
Because you've just introduced all this energy right next to someone's tympanic membrane, which does a lot of things beyond just hearing. That's balance. It affects your sight, how you see and relate stuff. I mean, it's kind of a serious thing to mess with, but it is, I think we'd all agree, like this is what most people are trying to get to, is using some kind of an ear mold.
Right.
Thanks for that, Dr. Stone.
You like that?
That was really good.
Yeah, I figured we'd just kind of foray into the medical world a little bit here on the MxU.
So, Dr. Stone, why is it bad to pull one ear out?
So you've created a seal. I mean, ideally, when you put these in, they fit, and these custom ones, they're made to fit my inner ear. So put them in, they seal, and they kind of just fit.
It's almost like a vacuum inside your ear.
Very much so. So now I do one side like that, then I put the other one in like that, and it's a sealed situation.
Yeah.
So now you're hearing well. Have you ever had a cold or something and one of your ears is clogged up or full of fluid or something, and everything's just off?
Yep.
That's what it's like if you pull one of them out. So now you're introducing this information in a situation that it wasn't actually designed to reproduce well before.
And then you can mistake what is loud volume.
Oh yeah.
And it comes across as maybe it's quiet.
And so you end up wanting more and more and more and turning it up, and you can inflict serious damage, not only to yourself if you keep turning your belt pack up, but as an engineer at the console, oh, well, he keeps saying they want more vocal and just keep doing it, and you're actually really throwing somebody off.
Yeah.
The other thing about it is when you put in-ear monitors in, you're hearing what the engineer or you have requested to be heard, right? So they're putting it together, sending it to your ears. If you take one ear out, now you're starting to introduce the delay from the room.
Yeah.
When you hear the nature of just sound pressure, is when you hear those sound waves come out of the speakers, so you're on stage, out of the speakers, hit the back of the room and come back to you, generally they're detuned a little bit because they just passed through a ton of moist air, which causes a lot of singers to sing flat because they're hearing what's happening in the room, not the way it was designed to be heard through the transducer, and so they start singing off pitch. So if someone does that, and it's a habit, we've all seen people pull an ear out because generally they're trying to hear their audience or something like that, which we have ways to help with that. But if I sense that they're singing flat, I'll usually say, could you put your ear in? And it's have you guys done that? And they do, and all of a sudden, their pitch
it comes back together
raises a little bit.
Yeah.
So
one other thing, I've actually seen singers try to foray into the world of inner monitors or even headphones, and they say, well, I didn't like it. I felt like I was inside of a vacuum. Like
Yeah.
it felt super strange. And there's some things that we can do to help that too.
Yeah, because that's why they're tempted to take an ear out, is because they feel like they can't hear what's coming back at them from the audience.
They're wanting to hear some ambience.
Right, so we need to find some way to put ambience in their mix. And that can come from several sources. That can be just the sound of the mics picking up the
drums
things that are in the
and-
room on stage,
Yeah,
right? Like the
right.
drums, or
Yeah.
what's getting into their vocal mic
Yeah.
based on what's in the, on stage. It could be a dedicated microphone that's actually miking the audience, or it could be reverb that's coming from the console to just add a sense of space and a sense
Now-
of,
Okay, so you said miking the audience. So let's just describe that just
Yeah.
just a second. So we're going to put an audience. Every audience member has a microphone.
I
No.
hope not.
What's our best way to do that?
You need to find a spot in your room that can get the PA out of it, but's miking the room and the crowd. So it's going to be different everywhere. If you're given stereo in-ears, then you should do a pair of those so that they're also stereo. If you've got mono in-ears, you don't have to do stereo microphones, but that's just get a microphone and play. It could be hanging from your ceiling. It could be on the end
Yeah.
of the stage. It could be in a lot of different places. The point is just to try and get a sense of the room back into the mix.
Any way you can.
Yes.
That's good.
Another way is the actual in-ears themselves. So if you're using universal fit in-ears, they have different tips that you put on them. Some have the yellow or orange foam, like a traditional
Yeah.
earplug. Those are the tightest seal for a universal fit. If you buy a set of universal fits, they usually come with 4 or 5 different
Yeah.
tips,
Right.
sleeves.
Right.
Each one of those are going to let in a different amount of ambient noise into those.
Right.
So you can actually try those. Some molded in-ear monitors actually have ports on them, and they will come with different size, these like little rubber
like a filter.
filters.
Yeah.
And this one will let in 5 dB, and this one will let in 3. So there's a lot of different ways we can do this.
That's actually, those were really popular a few years ago. They started making ported, molded ears.
Yeah.
And I know it was kind of interesting because you could walk up to someone with ears in and talk to them,
Yep.
and they would hear you, which normally you couldn't. Once these were sealed,
Yep.
you're kind of blocked out. And that's a pretty interesting thing. So wherever a musician moves around the stage, if they move closer to the drums, they're
hear
going to
more
hear a
drums.
little more ambient drums.
Yep.
Same with they bend down to talk to someone in the front row, they hear it a little differently.
And they
Yeah.
can be a lot less fatiguing because it is letting some air in, so the seal is not quite as much of a vacuum as it would be otherwise. And so for the person wearing them, they can wear them longer and have less just physical fatigue from just having ears in for hours at a time.
Another way I've seen this is some of the personal mixers, which we'll talk about later, actually have a microphone built into the mixer
Right.
and its own dedicated
Right.
volume knob that you can add it in there too.
It's good.
Thanks so much for checking out this video. We really hope you liked it. For more resources like this, go to our website, mxu.rocks, and find out more.